Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/ProRevenge, where you'll hear super satisfying stories of people getting exactly what they deserve. Guys, I hope you're having a great weekend so far. And if it's not your weekend, I hope you're having a great day just because. Guys, you know the deal. You're about to hear some super outrageously satisfying stories. So sit back, relax, because we're diving in. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future stories. I have a troublesome coworker that thinks she can push the store around. She constantly tries to change her schedule so she can get the hours that she wants, even though it makes things hard for the store. Now, let's call her Stacy, and she has a history of doing this for over the past year. Well, this year, Stacy decided to tell the boss that she couldn't open the store anymore, and that she was only available from 8 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. Furthermore, she tries to blame other employees for things that she doesn't get done. So, last year, she decided to cause an issue with another employee, and that employee turned her in for food stamp fraud. So, to give you a little background, Stacy lives with her boyfriend, and he happens to work for a government contractor, making a little over $20 an hour plus overtime. Her boyfriend goes out of the way to buy her a brand new car so she can get back and forth to work. In this regard, Stacy lied to social services by not telling them that he lived in that household. So after the report was filed, Stacy comes into the store to buy groceries. However, she paid in cash, which prompted me to ask her why she didn't use her EBT card. She told me that somebody turned her in and that her EBT card was shut off. In order to get her benefits back, she moved out and reapplied for food stamps. Once she was approved and got her benefits back, she broke her lease and moved back in with her boyfriend. So fast forward to this year, our store was having attendance and cooperation issues. As a result, there was a store meeting where corporate got involved and every store employee had to be present. During the meeting, they stated that all the applications for the current employees had an availability for any day and any shift. So, to rectify the problems our store is having, they decided that all employees will get scheduled for different shifts, including opening and closing. Now, Stacy decided that she did not like that, and over the weekend decided to send a message over Facebook stating that the schedule had better be changed. Stacy then threatened the assistant manager by saying that she's not working nights and she would not be coming in those shifts and he'd better not schedule her, or else. So I received a phone call from the store manager saying that Stacy had called out for her shift today and that I would have to cover it. Now, keep in mind that I had plans to go to dinner for my birthday with my parents. And while I don't mind overtime, I'm not happy that I had to cancel my reservations and blow off my family. As a result, I have made a call to social services and made a report that Stacy is committing EBT fraud. Moreover, if they check the address they have on file for her, they'll find that she's no longer living there, and that the owner of the property will be able to verify that she broke her lease. This will be the second time they will catch Stacy lying to them about her living situation. And since this is the second time she's lied to receive benefits, it's very likely that she'll be charged with welfare fraud, and will look at time behind bars. So maybe now she'll be looking at more days off, and spending that time in a jail cell, waiting to be arraigned. Listen guys, don't take the job if you can't fulfill the requirements. You don't take a job and then all of a sudden decide your own hours. So what's the moral of the story, guys? Don't piss off your coworkers, especially if you're committing welfare fraud. I found this guy on Craigslist a few years ago. I like renting condos from private owners as opposed to renting apartments. Typically, by renting a condo, it's safer, you have more caring residents, and you get to have a luxury apartment-style home with all the amenities and you can negotiate pricing. Now, I'm an excellent tenant, and anyone who I've rented from will tell you that. I paid a $1,000 deposit to move into this guy's condo. I was on a year lease, and this guy lives in another state, but we were on the same time zone. So, on month 8 of my lease, I come home to a door that wouldn't open. I couldn't get the door unlocked for the life of me. I had 2 keys on me, and as much as I tried to turn them, I couldn't. One of the keys even broke in the lock. I waited 2 hours. I called, texted, and emailed my landlord, and he did not pick up. I thought maybe he had someone change the locks for some reason. And I honestly didn't know what to think, and had no one to help me. The lady who lives across from me saw me in distress, as she was going to her apartment. I had never seen her, but she asked if I was okay, and I explained to her that I couldn't get into the apartment. She told me she knows of an on-call locksmith and she gives me his number. I tell her thanks and reach out to my landlord a few more times with no response. I had no choice but to call the locksmith. The locksmith arrives and could not get the door unlocked with my key. He told me he could replace the lock for $100. I told him I was renting a condo and could not get in touch with the owner, and I didn't know when the next time would be. So after he took the lock off, he told me it was faulty, so he replaced the lock. I told the landlord this via email, text, and voicemail, and told him I could send him copies of the key if he wanted. Okay, so fast forward to the end of my lease. I demand he does a walkthrough with me, and he said he wouldn't. I told him if he didn't do a walkthrough, then I would be notifying the condo office, as he didn't have permission to sublease. He then had a friend serve as his proxy to come meet me and walk through the unit. Now, I'm telling you, the place was spotless. I know how to clean. I took multiple photos and videos and showed his proxy, who's a police officer, the unit. Actually, they're both police officers who used to work together. We both literally tested all the appliances, faucets, checked the blinds, carpets, hardwood, we checked everything. His proxy then gave me the okay and said everything looks great. I give his proxy the keys and later that night left for my new city. So fast forward about a month later. I haven't heard anything from him about my deposit, and he ignored all my emails and phone calls. He finally gets back to me 2 months after I moved out and made up lies of how I damaged his unit. He said there were broken blinds, scratches on the hardwood floor, and he made it seem like I damaged his door by getting the lock replaced. He said there were scratches on the outside of his door, rust here and there, broken dishwashers, broken sinks, the oven was broke, a broken dryer. It was all lies. I would never leave a unit in that condition. He sent me an itemized list of the charges that magically came out to be $1,000, the same as my deposit. So this guy was always planning to keep my money. He wanted that money to either ball on it or upgrade his condo. And I hated him. I decided that I wasn't going to court because I had moved to a different state and lived alone, but I thought of something. Now, the guy rented to me under the table and likely did not claim my rent payments as earned income. I had all my wire transfers on my bank statement. I had his routing number and account number and a copy of his driver's license. So, I gathered all my bank statements, gathered his bank account numbers, and made a report with the IRS. So, a few years later, I check up on things, and that idiot lost his condo and lost everything he owned in bankruptcy. So I paid for and downloaded his court records and saw proof that he lost everything, including his condo and cars, and had his bank accounts seized. Now, I'm not sure if he went to jail or anything, but I'm so glad that bastard got his karma. He stole money from me that I gave him to rent a condo, and he ends up losing that same condo to bankruptcy. He can rot, for all I care. Guys, I love this revenge. Good on OP for standing up to this guy. I had a similar thing happen to me about 6 years ago. I used to rent a townhouse from this one guy who took a $1,300 deposit from me. So upon moving out, I made sure the place was spotless. We spent so much time, like me and my friends spent so much time washing the carpets, cleaning the walls, the stove, blah blah blah, everything. Trust me, we did everything we could to make sure we got the deposit back, and we for sure thought we were gonna get it back. Until this guy calls us out on leaving marks on the hardwood floors, due to a friggin' computer chair rolling around. So in the end, the guy wanted us to pay $3,000 for his new hardwood floor replacements, and he threatened to take us to small claims court. So not only that, he said the place wasn't even cleaned well enough, that he had to hire a cleaning crew and take off work to supervise them. So instead of getting our deposit back, he friggin' billed us for almost $5,000, guys. And honestly, $5,000 was so much money back then. Like, I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want him to take us to court, to sue us or whatever, blah blah blah. I had no money. And after a week, he texted me back and was like, oh, you know what? Actually, you guys are good people. I won't take you to small claims court if you just forfeit your deposit. So we did. We let him keep our $1,300, which for sure we were supposed to get back. Anyways, that's why this revenge made me so happy. I wish I could go back and get revenge on that guy. He was probably pulling the same shady stuff that this guy was pulling. Many years ago, I worked at an electronics repair store that will not be named. It was the only one in our small town, so everybody came there. I worked my way up from a lowly tech to a store manager in roughly 6 months. So a few months after I made store manager, one of the owners, who we'll call Dennis, insisted on bringing his nephew in as a part-time employee. Now listen, don't get ahead of me. I initially did not have any issues with the kid. He had come to the store many times and we would sit around the back and talk. So again, I had no issues with bringing him on part-time. For a good month or two, the kid, who we'll call Kevin, worked really hard, and he did everything right. Profits for the store were skyrocketing, and things seemed rather fine from where I was standing. And I was due to make a fairly large bonus that year, as long as the store kept turning the amount of money it was turning. So I figured at that time we could make Kevin our assistant manager, and I could go back to doing paperwork, and leave the running of things to him. Well, mistakes were definitely made. Now, I had a bad habit of writing down my login pin because Dennis and his partner Jay were idiots and wanted the pin to be really long. These pins were used to access everything from sales data to the cash register and more. Anyway, around that time, I was turning over the majority of stuff to Kevin to do. I also started taking classes at the local university, so again, me being the idiot that I was, would leave to go to class before coming back and finishing my shift. Dennis and Jay were fine with this as long as I left someone competent in charge. So fast forward to the end of the month when accounts receivable numbers were run. And wouldn't you know it, we were short by thousands that month. Thousands. I discussed everything with Dennis and Jay, and we assumed it was a computer glitch. There was no way, after almost a year of working there, that the numbers were off. Now, I've never had this happen before. The next month, we were again off. So it was around this time that Dennis and Jay came to me and started to accuse me of stealing from them. They pointed out all the days that the numbers didn't match up and saw that I was always closing that night. When I tried to explain to them that I was in class on those days where the money came missing and suggested they look at Kevin, Dennis blew his top. He said how dare I accuse his nephew of anything. Needless to say, I was fired. I'm pretty sure they were looking for a reason to fire me, to promote Kevin to my position and keep it a family-run business. So a couple of years had passed since I was working there. I graduated college with a degree in business and had moved on with my life, or so I thought. One night, while I was out at the store, I heard from behind me, "Yo, thief." So I turned around to see Kevin and Dennis with big smile on their faces. They continued on and said, "How's life, thief? You steal anything from any new employers?" Now, I shrug it off and walk away, continuing to hear their childish taunts. While in my car, I began to think of a plan. I was gonna crush these idiots no matter how long it took. It took me about 2 months of planning, but finally, I figured that I would use my social engineering skills and my business knowledge to completely crush their business. I broke the HDMI ports on my PS4 on purpose and took it to have it fixed. Kevin was working with a new girl who started there a few months back. So Kevin says, "Oh, it's you, thief. What can I help you with?" I told him, first of all, you can stop calling me that. You and I both know that I didn't steal anything from here. I told him my HDMI port broke, and do you guys still repair them? He says, "Yeah, we still repair them. It's $115. So I tried to start conversation by asking him how everything's been since I left. He says, "You mean since you were fired for stealing?" I told him, "Yeah, whatever. We know it's not true." Now, I knew that Kevin was trying to impress the girl, but I didn't care at that minute. As I glanced around, I saw they had added some new things to the store, including OtterBox cases and such. I exclaimed, "Whoa, that's new. How did you guys manage to get with OtterBox?" Kevin says, "Oh, we didn't. They kept turning us down. So I found a Chinese distributor." Knockoffs, bro. Knockoffs. We get them for $5 and we sell them for 30. Now, I'm thinking to myself, this dude really loves to blab and I need to get him to keep it up. I said, "So how much of the price has gone up on other things?" Kevin says, "Oh, quite a bit actually. You thought you were turning store profit? Let me show you something." He then showed me their new price list, which was also insane on the pricing, and also a huge mistake. Now, I never believed in ripping anybody off, so I always convinced Dennis and Jay that our pricing was fair. After the work was finished, I said goodbye and made sure to wave to the girl as I walked out. And this is where my plan went into motion. I had everything I needed to crush these guys, all except for a building. I decided to look around for a location to begin to dismantle their monopolistic hold on the town. And as luck would have it, I soon found a location close to them, for rent. I quickly signed the lease and began my course of action. Over the next few weeks, I began to distribute flyers letting the town know about our grand opening soon on the flyer, and that I was offering 90% off on the first repair. Basically, I was doing the work for free. All they had to do was pay the part price. Fast forward to opening day a few months later, and I have 60 people there to get repairs, ranging from iPhone screen repairs to simple PC tune-ups. This went on like this for months, and sure, I was taking a loss, but this being a small town, the rent was easily manageable. After things start to settle down and business became steady, Dennis and Jay start losing massive business due to the new guy in town. And they still hadn't realized that it was me. So one day, Jane walked in as I was closing up shop. Jane, if you recall, was the girl who worked for Dennis that Kevin was trying to hit on. I asked her what happened over there, and she said everything had gone downhill in the last couple of months, and the store's been losing a lot of money to a new place that opened up and undercut prices. So I then asked her if she wants a job, and she said yes. After a month of Jane coming in, Dennis and Jay finally decide to stop by to see who the new guy was. As they walked in, I greet them as I do any customer. I said, "Welcome. How can I help you?" Dennis said, "Hey thief, does the owner know he hired a thief?" I told him, "Oh, he definitely knows. He definitely knows he hired a thief." Dennis says, "Good, then go get him, so I can tell him what a thief you are." I told him, "Sure, 1 minute." I walk to the back and start talking to Jane, and we both enjoy a laugh because she overheard the dude. So I walk out of the back and look at Dennis and said, "How can I help you?" Pointing to the sign behind me and said, "Yeah, that's me. How can I help you?" And you should have seen the look on Dennis's face. I told him, "Hey, you guys called me a thief when you knew all along it was your nephew that was stealing from you. I decided to make it my life's mission to destroy you guys, and you know what? It's profitable and I really love the work." They both stomped out of there fuming. To add the cherry on top, I made an anonymous tip to OtterBox regarding them selling counterfeits. Under federal law, any individual who knowingly distributes, wholesales, and sells counterfeit merchandise faces substantial penalties. You can get jail time anywhere between 5 and 10 years. Within a week, the other store was raided. Kevin, Dennis, and Jay were all arrested for selling counterfeit items and were sued into bankruptcy. As for Jane and I, well, we just welcomed our first kid into the world and have been married for a year and a half. It's funny how life works. Okay guys, listen, OP is a frickin' boss. Like, the OtterBox thing was enough to open a lawsuit shutting down their business anyway, but OP definitely goes above and beyond. Seriously, who the heck opens up a business, puts everything on the line just to get revenge against the boss who framed him? And successfully, if I may add. What a brilliant revenge. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /ProRevenge. Guys, thanks so much for coming to hang out with me today and listening to these wild stories. If you missed the last episode of our /ProRevenge, I will link it right here. The owner's son fires OP for refusing to date him, and his dumb actions caused Daddy's company to get shut down. Guys, check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.